Breaking news from Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy says at least 15 people have died in a Russian airstrike on a train station in the central part of the country. This attack on a day laden with both hope and sorrow. Today is Independence Day, the national holiday marking independence from the former Soviet Union. Today also marks 6 months of the Russian invasion. Now, in a moment, we're going to have a report on a nation that was scheduled to celebrate freedom before a war got in the way. First, though, we want to go to DW's Matthias Berlinger. He is in Kyiv. So we've got this report, Matthias, on this attack on a train station in the central part of the country. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, we've just heard that 15 people were killed and several dozens wounded in that attack. Now, today is a day where many people have expected such attacks to happen, possibly even on the capital of Kyiv. This has not happened so far, but we've also heard that quite a few rockets have been intercepted by air defense, by Ukrainian air defense, and it's not impossible that some were meant for here, for the government buildings that Russia has threatened to attack, or that at least some Russian propagandists have threatened to attack. And we've also seen rockets come down in other parts of the country, in the more western Khmelnytsky region, and also in Kharkiv we've heard about explosions. So it's clear that Russia is sending a signal at this day, and that people have suffered from Russian attacks again in different parts of the country.
Okay, Matthias, stand by. This attack comes, as we said earlier, on this Independence Day in Ukraine. Celebrations were banned in the capital, Kyiv, for fears of a Russian attack. We have this report now on how Ukrainians are finding ways to show their resistance.
Russian tanks are lined up in the Ukrainian capital. The message: this is the only way Russian military equipment will appear in Kyiv. Burnt and destroyed. It was unusually quiet as Ukrainians marked their Independence Day in the capital. Occasionally, air raid warnings disrupted the silence. But the mood in the city is defiant.
I'm very proud of our country. I'm glad that we came back from Europe, where we had fled to celebrate here, now on this day, with our fellow citizens. I believe victory will come. It's a special day for me today.
I feel nothing, no fear. I traveled almost 100 kilometers here from near Kyiv. Nothing scares me. You just have to do it. It's a holiday, after all.
President Volodymyr Zelenskyy released a pre-recorded message where he vowed to fight until the end.
What for us is the end of the war? We used to say peace. Now we say victory. We won't look for a mutual understanding with a terrorist, even though we understand the Russian language you came to defend, while killing thousands of people you came to liberate. We finally became united. A new nation emerged on February 24th at 4 a.m. Not born, but reborn. A nation that did not cry, scream, or get scared. One that did not run away, did not give up, and did not forget.
The President and the First Lady also visited a memorial to the soldiers killed in the conflict. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops in the east are locked in a grinding war of attrition with the Russian army.
Well, Matthias Berlinger still with us. Matthias, on this Independence Day, we're talking about a possible war of attrition now, 6 months into this conflict. Is there anything for Ukrainians to celebrate?
Well, this war of attrition has been going on for several months now, and the fear is that it's going to be a war of exhaustion, actually. And of course, then many worries occur. How long will the West sustain its support to Ukraine, etc.? Ukraine is making, of course, sometimes even spectacular strikes against Russian ammunition depots or supply infrastructures. We've seen these strikes on Crimea. We have seen several strikes in the Kherson region, mainly in the south, where Ukraine was able to take out seemingly big ammunition dumps, which very spectacular explosions, etc. So Ukraine is in a better position now than it was 3 months ago, when it was just pounded by this Russian firepower that was 10 times, people estimated at the time, higher than the Ukrainian. But still, we are not seeing any territorial or significant territorial gains by the Ukrainians. They have been able already a few months ago to drive back the Russians from some of the positions that were very close to the cities of Kharkiv and Mykolaiv, and also, of course, the retreat from the Kiev area. But since then, things are really grindingly slow. The Russian advance is also slow, but it is consistent. So it doesn't look like there is going to be a fast turn anytime soon in this war.
And Matthias, we have heard before and during this war, particularly from ultra-nationalists in Russia, that Ukraine is not even a real country. What has the Russian invasion, what has it done to strengthen Ukrainian identity?
Well, that's not only ultra-nationalists, that's also Putin who has said that. He has clearly miscalculated. Of course, the Ukrainians saw themselves as a nation before. What it has done is that it has further consolidated the feeling of the nation, and maybe also the feeling of a nation that is united. I mean, you can be a nation and you can be quarreling all over with everybody, the elder with the younger, and the Easterners with the Westerners, the Russian speakers with the Ukrainian speakers. And I think after this 24th of February, what has been diluted is this maybe mistrust of groups against each other. There was a process that was already on the way, at least since 2014, but also maybe since the 1990s. It's been accelerating over the time, but the 24th of February has really boosted this feeling of unity here, and people perceive themselves as more united than before.
DW's Matthias Berlinger with the latest tonight on this Independence Day in Kyiv. Well, so far, Ukraine has been spared that feared massive invasion by the Russian military. DW's William Bluecroft takes a look back at how the war started and at some of its major turning points.
After months of speculation, warnings, fears, and a massive troop buildup on 3 sides of Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin finally revealed his deadly intentions on February 24th. First, let's look at how things were on the eve of the war. Now, Russia already occupied the Crimean Peninsula in the south in 2014, and at the same time helped separatists take control of part of Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. Now, in that conflict, the United Nations estimates 14,000 civilians have been killed in the years since. Now, starting February 24th, Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine by land, by sea, and by air. The Russian leader claims the Ukrainian government has committed crimes against Russian-speaking Ukrainians. But outside Russia, the war is seen as a desperate effort to stop Ukraine's further integration with the West, which Putin views as a threat to his power. Now, in the first stage of the war, until around the beginning of April, Russian forces pounded the capital, Kyiv, and other major urban centers like Kharkiv and Mariupol. Entire civilian areas were flattened. Millions of people fled to neighboring countries or to Ukraine's somewhat safer western region. But Russia underestimated Ukraine's resistance, and its military couldn't establish air superiority. It tried but failed to surround Kyiv and decapitate Ukraine's democratically elected government. So after several weeks of little progress from the north of the country, Russian commanders ordered a withdrawal to concentrate their firepower on the east. That is the war's second phase. Ukrainian troops were outmanned and outgunned, and they were forced to steadily retreat allowing Russian forces to consolidate gains on the ground. Now, what you see here doesn't mean that Russia has full control of these areas. What we can say is that in the south and the east is where Russia has advanced the most and exerts some level of administrative control. It's these areas that have seen the heaviest fighting. And now we're in a third phase. Ukraine says it's fighting back with the help of US and other Western weapons. Both sides have suffered tremendous losses, though it's impossible to put a precise figure on that. Same goes for the civilian toll, which the United Nations officially puts at 13,000 killed and wounded. But they acknowledge it's likely a gross undercount. Now, it's unclear what Putin's endgame is here as the war becomes one of attrition, whether Ukraine has the strength to push back against Russian advances, whether Russia has the resources to establish itself as an occupying power, and whether the winter ahead will freeze fighting and force some kind of deal.
That was DW's William Glucroft there. I'm joined now by Maria Avdiva. She is a security analyst based in Kharkiv in the northeast of Ukraine. When Russian troops attacked her hometown early in this war, she started collecting evidence of possible war crimes, and she committed herself to fighting Russian disinformation. Maria, it's good to have you with us tonight. You posted a video earlier today from the center of Kyiv on this Ukrainian Independence Day, and it got our attention. Let's take a look at it.
Before the invasion, Putin was saying that Russian tanks will be on the streets of Kyiv in just several days. Well, here is the main street in Kyiv, Krishchatyk, and here are Russian tanks, thermobaric weapons, all other heavy Russian military equipment burned and destroyed by Ukrainian armed forces. And thousands of people in Kyiv are now here making selfies in front of the destroyed Russian military vehicles.
Maria, it is clear that you think that Ukraine has won the battle. I'm wondering, how can you be sure that Russia will not win this war?
The battle is not over, unfortunately, for Ukraine, and we have to be prepared, and we are prepared for a long war. The people I have been speaking today with in Krishchatyk, the heart of Kyiv, in Maidan Square, all of them say that Ukraine's goal is to get full territorial control of the temporarily occupied territories, and that means that the war is not over for us, and it is continuing. But what has changed, and what does this mean, this, so to say, installation or exhibition of destroyed Russian military vehicles in Kyiv, what it means for us Ukrainians? It is the demonstration that the Putin's goal he has put while he began this invasion on the 24th of February were not achieved. He did not achieve anything of the primarily goals. And on the other hand, it shows us that Ukrainian troops were able to resist and fight effectively, because many people, including in the West, were doubting that Ukrainian army will be able to do so.
Maria, let me speak to you. You as a Ukrainian citizen, when you look back at the past 6 months of this war, how has your life been changed?
My personal life has changed completely. Before the war, I was an analyst, an expert, mainly working from home and writing research papers, desk work, as you would imagine an ordinary expert will do. And from time to time, doing trainings and going into conferences. And this war turned me into some kind of war correspondent because now I wear the helmet, the body armor, and go to the front lines to show the world what is happening in Ukraine and what Russia is doing to my country.
And let me pick up on that. I know you made many videos over the past 6 months filming the aftermath of Russian attacks, filming Ukrainian troops. Has there been a particular setting or situation that has stayed with you?
The Yes, one thing happened just recently. It was in Kharkiv region near my home city. There is a small town of Chuguyev, and Russia struck the cultural center there with the S-300 rockets, missiles, and people were sheltering in the basement of the cultural center. And 3 people were caught inside, and we didn't know if they're alive or not. And the rescue work continued throughout the night. And one of the rescuers was helped by actually the husband of the woman, which was there under the rubble. And then there was the scene when the rescuers found the crushed body, and that is him seeing the husband. And I talked to him, and he said that the couple had 2 children, and he didn't know how to tell them what has happened to their mother.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to imagine what that must be like. Are you worried as the months turn into a year, maybe longer, of having air raid sirens going off at the same time? You have people still taking their children to school, going to cafes. Are you worried that this dangerous dichotomy of normalcy and wartime life will get settled in for Ukrainians such as yourself?
This is a question I'm asking the people on the forefront, in the trenches. And what they say me, the soldiers, they say we are fighting here for other people in Ukraine to have their normal lives. The most important thing for Ukrainians and elsewhere in the world is that please do not forget that this is a war going on, and this is the sovereign state being attacked by the enemy. And while you do not forget about that and continue supporting and providing weapons and all the other help that Ukraine gets, Ukraine will be able to fight further and to resist this aggression.
Maria Avdiva, we appreciate you taking the time to share your insights and your personal stories on this very important day for Ukraine. Thank you.